Every single day, millions of people track their financial bank accounts down to the very last cent. We set strict budgets, monitor digital transactions, cut back on impulse purchases, and worry endlessly about financial bankruptcy. Yet, almost no one monitors the far more precious currency we bleed out continuously, every waking hour, our emotional time and metabolic energy. You wake up with a finite daily budget of cognitive focus, emotional bandwidth, and vital life force. But before you even pour your morning coffee, you have already spent half your daily fortune. You waste precious energy replaying an awkward interaction from 3 days ago, anxiety scrolling through catastrophic headlines, silently arguing with someone who isn't even in the room, or trying to manage the chaotic emotions of people who refuse to manage their own. This is emotional spending, the silent, invisible hemorrhage of your life force on things that yield zero return on investment. When you spend your money recklessly, you go financially broke. When you spend your time and energy recklessly, you end up emotionally bankrupt, perpetually exhausted, resentful, and completely detached from your true purpose. You feel chronically tired, not because you are doing too much physical work, but because you are constantly leaking vital energy into psychological black holes. It is time to treat your emotional bandwidth with the same strict, uncompromising discipline as an elite investment portfolio. It is time to stop the unseen drain, take back your sovereignty, and direct your life force where it actually matters. Chapter 1. The fundamental crisis of modern existence is not a shortage of clock time. It is the uncontrolled, unconscious squandering of emotional and psychological capital. Most individuals go through life operating under a profound delusion. They measure their days strictly in terms of hours and minutes, believing that if they can simply manage their daily schedules, prioritize their calendars, and optimize their task lists, they will achieve balance, high performance, and deep fulfillment. Yet, despite having access to an unprecedented array of productivity apps, calendar tools, and time management systems, a vast majority of people feel perpetually exhausted, chronically overwhelmed, and emotionally drained. They collapse into bed at night feeling completely spent, despite having accomplished very little that truly moved their lives forward. The reason for this persistent state of exhaustion is simple. You do not live your life in hours, you live your life in energy units. Time is merely a passive, neutral container through which existence flows. It is a completely static measurement. Energy, on the other hand, is the active, dynamic fuel that animates your mind, powers your focus, regulates your nervous system, and drives every meaningful action you take. You can have 8 open, uninterrupted hours on your calendar on a Saturday, but if your emotional energy has been completely drained by a toxic argument, a spiral of anticipatory anxiety, or a lingering sense of guilt, those 8 hours are completely useless to you. You will sit at your desk or move through your home in a state of cognitive paralysis, unable to write, create, connect, or relax, because your internal battery is registering at absolute zero. To understand why you are constantly exhausted, you must first recognize the fundamental concept of emotional spending. Emotional spending is the unconscious investment of your psychological focus, nervous system bandwidth, and internal energy into low-yield, zero-return, or negative-return mental activities. Just as financial impulse buying occurs when you spend hard-earned money on shiny, useless objects out of boredom, stress, or social pressure, emotional impulse spending occurs when you allow external events, dramatic narratives, and intrusive thoughts to hijack your attention and consume your vital life force. Every time you ruminate on a past mistake, engage in petty gossip, rehearse a hypothetical conflict in your head, or attempt to fix someone else's preventable mess, you are making a massive withdrawal from your emotional bank account. The human nervous system was never evolved to sustain the relentless, uninterrupted stream of emotional withdrawals demanded by modern society. For hundreds of thousands of years, our evolutionary ancestors operated in low-information, local environments. Their stress responses were short, acute biological events triggered by immediate, tangible physical threats. A predator in the brush, a sudden drop in temperature, or a sharp physical conflict. Once the threat was confronted or avoided, the biological nervous system returned to a state of calm, parasympathetic rest and repair. Energy was conserved fiercely, because every calorie and unit of nervous system bandwidth was essential for basic survival, hunting, foraging, and tribe connection. In the contemporary world, however, the human nervous system is subjected to an unprecedented, unnatural environment. We are bombarded 24 hours a day with hyper-stimulating, outrage-driven, and anxiety-inducing inputs, specifically designed by sophisticated algorithms to capture our attention and harvest our emotional responses. Social media platforms, continuous news cycles, push notifications, and workplace communication channels are engineered to keep your nervous system in a state of low-grade, chronic fight-or-flight arousal. They hook into your primitive biological survival instincts, convincing your brain that every headline, notification, outrage trend, and passive-aggressive email is an urgent existential threat that demands your immediate emotional investment. When you allow your attention to be continuously harvested by external forces, you are engaging in severe, chronic emotional overspending. You are pouring your finite life force into an infinite, bottomless pit. Unlike physical energy, which signals its depletion through clear biological feedback like muscular fatigue, physical pain, and heavy eyelids, emotional energy depletion is far more insidious. It leaks out quietly, disguised as chronic irritability, brain fog, apathy, sleep disturbances, cynicism, and a persistent, underlying sense of dread. You don't realize you are emotionally bankrupt until you find yourself snapping at a loved one over a minor inconvenience, freezing in front of a critical project, or feeling entirely numb to the joys of your existence. To halt this invisible hemorrhage and take control of your life force, you must undergo a fundamental paradigm shift in how you view your personal bandwidth. You must stop viewing your time and energy as an infinite, self-replenishing resource that you owe to anyone who demands it. You must start viewing your emotional energy as a strictly finite, high-value investment capital that must be guarded, budgeted, and allocated with cold, uncompromising discipline. Every single thought, interaction, notification, worry, and relationship in your life represents a specific transaction on your emotional balance sheet. Some transactions are high-return investments that yield clarity, strength, peace, and tangible progress. Others are predatory fees and toxic drains that strip you of your power and leave you completely hollow. The first step in building a sovereign emotional economy is developing acute, real-time awareness of your personal energy balance. You must begin to audit your day, not by looking at where your clock minutes went, but by auditing where your psychological energy flowed. Ask yourself, with radical honesty, which interactions left me feeling recharged, clear, and grounded today? Which thoughts, apps, or people left me feeling hollow, scattered, and anxious? When you begin to track your life through the lens of energy return on investment, you quickly realize that much of your daily exhaustion is entirely self-inflicted, the result of spending priceless emotional capital on things that yield absolutely nothing of value in return. It is time to close the accounts that are draining you dry and reclaim your sovereign power over your own life force. Chapter 2. At the absolute core of chronic emotional spending lies a profound psychological illusion that grips millions of individuals: the subconscious, compulsive belief that you are responsible for managing, fixing, and carrying the emotional states, choices, and lives of other people. This subtle, deeply entrenched psychological pattern is commonly known as codependency, people-pleasing, or hyper-responsibility. It is one of the most pervasive, high-volume drains on human energy in existence. Individuals who suffer from this pattern operate as emotional shock absorbers for their entire social ecosystem. They step into every room with an invisible, hyper-vigilant radar scanning the faces, tones, and postures of everyone present, instantly absorbing the ambient tension, anxiety, and dissatisfaction as if it were their own personal fault and responsibility. If you carry this pattern, your daily emotional economy is completely at the mercy of external variables. When someone in your orbit, a partner, parent, boss, colleague, or friend, is upset, distant, frustrated, or stressed, your nervous system immediately interprets their negative emotional state as an emergency that you must personally resolve. You drop everything you are doing, abandon your own priorities, and burn massive amounts of internal energy, attempting to smooth things over, fix their mood, offer unsolicited advice, or earn back their approval. You spend hours replaying conversations in your mind, asking yourself what you did wrong, or obsessing over how you can make them feel better. In doing so, you are committing a catastrophic breach of your own emotional budget. You are spending your priceless life force to buy a temporary sense of safety through managing someone else's internal world. To break free from this relentless drain, you must understand the deep psychological root of hyper-responsibility. Hyper-responsibility is rarely an intentional choice made in adulthood. It is almost always a conditioned survival mechanism developed early in life. Children who grow up in unpredictable, emotionally volatile, chaotic, or overly demanding environments quickly learn that their physical and emotional safety depends on keeping the adults around them calm and pleased. They develop an extraordinarily sensitive radar for micro-changes in tone, body language, and mood. They learn to suppress their own authentic needs, feelings, and boundaries to become whatever the environment requires to maintain peace and prevent conflict or abandonment. While this hyper-vigilant strategy may have served as a vital survival tool during childhood, carrying it into adult life is absolute poison to your personal sovereignty and emotional health. As an adult, attempting to control or manage another capable adult's emotional state is not only an impossible, exhausting task, it is an act of deep psychological distortion. The absolute unassailable truth of human existence is that every adult human being is solely, entirely responsible for their own internal state, their own emotional regulation, their own choices, and their own reactions. When you step in to fix, save, manage, or absorb someone else's emotional mess, you are actively stealing their responsibility, robbing them of the opportunity to develop their own psychological strength, and bankrupting yourself in the process. To stop this destructive emotional spend, you must learn and master the art of energetic boundary enforcement and emotional differentiation. Differentiation is the psychological capacity to remain deeply connected to another person while maintaining a clear, distinct boundary between where your internal world ends and where theirs begins. It is the ability to stand in the presence of someone else's storm, their anger, grief, anxiety, or drama, without absorbing that storm into your own nervous system. It is recognizing that another person's bad mood, disappointment, or emotional outburst is an expression of their internal weather, their conditioning, and their coping mechanisms, not a command performance for you to fix or absorb. Enforcing energetic boundaries requires you to purge your vocabulary and mind of the submissive, approval-seeking reflex that causes you to take on toxic emotional debt. When someone around you is venting endlessly, dumping their unprocessed drama onto you, or demanding that you fix their preventable problems, you do not need to absorb their energy or sacrifice your peace to prove you are a good person. You can offer grounded, neutral presence without taking on their burden. You learn to hold space without becoming the wastebasket for their toxic emotional dumping. Phrases such as, "That sounds like a really tough situation, and I trust you'll figure out how to handle it," or, "I love you, but I don't have the emotional bandwidth to discuss this right now," act as powerful, clean shields that protect your vital bandwidth from being hijacked. Furthermore, you must confront the hidden ego and control drive that often underlies hyper-responsibility. Many people who describe themselves as perpetual givers, fixers, and caretakers are secretly addicted to the sense of purpose, validation, and control that fixing others provides. They use fixing others as a clever, unconscious mechanism to avoid facing the terrifying, messy reality of their own lives, goals, and neglected emotional needs. As long as you are busy solving everyone else's crisis, you never have to do the hard, uncomfortable work of building your own dreams, setting firm boundaries, and taking responsibility for your own happiness. You get to play the tragic hero, perpetually exhausted and martyred, while secretly deriving your entire sense of self-worth from being needed by people who refuse to grow up. To reclaim your energy, you must be willing to give up the need to save everyone. You must accept the uncomfortable truth that you cannot fix people who are fundamentally committed to staying broken, and you cannot save people who derive their primary identity from being perpetual victims. Allowing people to experience the natural, uncomfortable consequences of their own poor choices emotional dysregulation, and boundary violations, is not cruel. It is the highest form of respect and love you can offer them. It frees them to wake up and take responsibility for their own lives, while instantly freeing you from the energetic prison of fixing what was never yours to hold. From this day forward, close the open bank account of hyper-responsibility. Withdraw your energy from other people's emotional drama, re-anchor it firmly in your own life, and watch your internal peace and vitality double overnight. Chapter 3. The third critical vector in stopping the invisible hemorrhage of your life force is the systematic dismantling of cognitive rumination, mental time travel, and the compulsive addiction to internal friction. Rumination is the psychological process of repeatedly, passively, and helplessly turning over past events, awkward interactions, perceived slights, or hypothetical future catastrophes in your mind. It is arguably the single highest volume consumer of emotional energy in modern human life. Millions of individuals spend hours every day sitting physically still in a quiet room, yet their internal biology is firing as if they were trapped in an active war zone. They are replaying an argument from 6 months ago, rehearsing what they should have said to a critical boss, worrying about a future scenario that has a 90% chance of never happening, or obsessing over a decision they can no longer alter. To break the grip of rumination, you must first confront a fundamental neurological reality. Your brain cannot distinguish between a real, tangible physical threat happening in your immediate environment and a vivid, emotionally charged thought generated in your imagination. When you sit on your couch and repeatedly visualize a catastrophic future outcome or replay a painful past betrayal, your hypothalamus fires the exact same alarm signals as if the threat were standing directly in front of you. It floods your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline, accelerates your heart rate, tightens your muscles, and shuts down your digestive and immune systems. You are physically and emotionally burning through hundreds of units of precious metabolic energy to fight a phantom that exists nowhere in the physical universe except inside your own skull. The reason rumination is so intensely addictive is that the primitive, survival-driven part of your brain mistakenly believes that worrying is a form of constructive action. Your ego tricks you into thinking that if you think about a problem hard enough, analyze it from 50 different angles, and feel enough anxiety about it, you are somehow protecting yourself, preparing for the worst, or preventing future pain. This is a profound psychological trap. Worrying is not problem-solving. Rumination is not planning. Problem-solving is a structured, rational, and finite cognitive process that leads directly to a concrete, actionable decision, or a clear acceptance of what cannot be changed. Rumination, by contrast, is a circular, infinite loop that leads only to deeper paralysis, self-doubt, and profound emotional bankruptcy. To halt this continuous drain on your cognitive bandwidth, you must cultivate the practice of ruthless thought auditing and immediate cognitive pattern interrupts. You must begin to treat your internal mental space as a high-security vault rather than a public park where any random, low-value, or toxic thought can set up camp and consume your resources. The moment you catch yourself slipping into a repetitive, anxious loop, you must execute an immediate, conscious audit by asking yourself one decisive question: is this line of thought yielding actionable intelligence that I can apply right now, or is it merely draining my energy? If the answer is that the thought is an unchangeable past event or an uncontrollable future hypothetical, you must recognize it instantly as an unauthorized withdrawal on your emotional account and shut it down. Shutting down a ruminative loop cannot be accomplished through brute force mental suppression. Telling yourself, "Don't think about that," only amplifies the thought, because the brain must continually focus on the very topic it is trying to avoid. Instead, you deploy physical state disruption and sensory anchoring. Because rumination is a high brainhead process that disconnects you from physical reality, you break its circuit by immediately bringing your attention down into your physical body and your immediate environment. You execute 3 slow, deep diaphragmatic breaths with an extended exhale, physically change your environment, pour a glass of ice-cold water, or engage in 5 minutes of intense physical movement. By anchoring your focus strictly in the tangible sights, sounds, and sensations of the present physical moment. You starve the mental phantom of the attention energy it requires to survive, instantly restoring your cognitive calm. Furthermore, you must conquer the destructive habit of emotional time travel and master the art of radical acceptance. Emotional time travel is the arrogant, futile attempt to rewrite history or dictate the unpredictable future. Huge reserves of human life force are burned every day, crying out against reality, repeating statements like, "It shouldn't have happened this way," "They shouldn't have said that," or "Why did things have to turn out like this?" Radical acceptance means abandoning all resistance to what is. It is the sober, unshakable realization that the past is completely fixed, that other people are going to act according to their own nature, and that fighting against established reality is as absurd as standing on a beach and screaming at the tide for coming in. Radical acceptance is not passive resignation, weakness, or approval of poor behavior. It is the ultimate strategy for energy conservation and sovereign power. When you accept reality exactly as it has unfolded, you stop wasting energy on useless outrage and emotional denial. You instantly free up 100% of your cognitive resources to ask the only question that actually matters. Given that this is the reality of the situation right now, what is the most intelligent, grounded, and strategic step I can take next? By stopping the waste of cognitive rumination, closing the doors on mental time travel, and anchoring your focus firmly in the actionable present, you plug the largest leak in your emotional bank account and lock in an unshakable baseline of mental peace. Chapter 4. The fourth vector in mastering your personal energy economy is the intentional purging of low-value information consumption, digital outrage harvesting, and the continuous stimulation trap. We are currently living through the most aggressive, systematic assault on human attention and emotional bandwidth in recorded history. Never before has an entire global industry, worth trillions of dollars, been explicitly designed, engineered, and optimized for the sole purpose of hijacking the human nervous system, harvesting emotional responses, and monetizing psychological dysregulation. Every time you open a smartphone app, scroll through an algorithmic news feed, or consume rage-inducing commentary, you are stepping into a hyper-sophisticated casino that is actively trading your peace of mind, focus, and vital life force for digital ad revenue. The human brain was never built to process the sheer volume, velocity, and negativity of the information streams that flood modern daily life. For thousands of generations, human beings received information at the slow, natural speed of local conversation and physical observation. You knew about the weather in your valley, the health of your immediate community, and the practical tasks required for daily survival. Today, through the pocket supercomputers we carry everywhere, our primitive nervous systems are connected 24 hours a day to every war, political scandal, natural disaster, tragic accident, and outrageous social dispute occurring across 8 billion people on the planet. This hyperconnection creates a state of severe, chronic cognitive overstimulation known as headline stress or compassion fatigue. When you consume a constant stream of tragic, sensationalized, or infuriating news stories about events thousands of miles away that you have zero direct ability to influence or solve, your brain experiences a profound state of learned helplessness. It registers the high threat level and releases stress hormones, but because there is no physical action you can take to resolve the threat, that biological arousal has nowhere to go. It remains trapped inside your body, slowly simmering into a background noise of ambient dread, cynicism, cognitive fatigue, and existential exhaustion. To protect your emotional capital from being continuously plundered by digital algorithms, you must transition from an indiscriminate, passive consumer of information to an aggressive, highly selective curator of your digital inputs. You must recognize that information is not neutral. Information is a direct biological input that directly dictates the chemistry of your blood, the state of your nervous system, and the quality of your daily thoughts. Just as eating garbage food every day will inevitably destroy your physical body, consuming garbage, outrage-driven digital media every day will inevitably destroy your mind. You must establish a strict digital diet, evaluating every app, news outlet, notification, and social media feed through the uncompromising lens of energy return on investment. Building a sovereign digital boundary begins with the complete elimination of low-value, passive consumption habits, specifically the destructive ritual known as doom scrolling. Doom scrolling is the compulsive, mindless scrolling through negative news and social media feeds, driven by an anxious, primitive urge to seek out threats. It delivers zero practical utility, zero actionable knowledge, and zero true rest. It is a pure, unadulterated drain on your emotional battery. You must establish hard, non-negotiable physical barriers between your nervous system and your digital devices, turning off all non-essential notifications, removing outrage-driven social media apps from your primary phone, and enforcing strict digital blackouts during the first hour after waking up and the last hour before going to sleep. The first hour of your morning is the sacred anchor of your entire daily energy economy. When you wake up, your brain transitions through slow theta wave patterns into alpha state, a period of high psychological neuroplasticity and suggestibility. If the very first thing you do upon opening your eyes is reach for your phone and flood your mind with work emails, political outrage, or news headlines, you are instantly surrendering your sovereignty. You are letting the outside world decide your emotional state before you have even planted your feet on the floor. You start your day in a defensive, reactive posture, spending your highest quality morning energy on external noise. By protecting your morning hour for silence, movement, reflection, and quiet preparation, you establish a grounded internal anchor that renders you far less vulnerable to digital distraction throughout the rest of the day. Furthermore, you must apply the principle of the circle of concern versus the circle of influence to your information diet. Your circle of concern includes everything you care about or feel emotion toward: global politics, economic shifts, international conflicts, celebrity drama, and distant societal debates. Your circle of influence includes only those things you can directly, physically affect through your own personal choices, behavior, and immediate actions. Your health, your work performance, your financial choices, your personal relationships, and your local community. Unhappy, exhausted people spend 90% of their emotional energy inside their circle of concern, obsessing over massive global issues they cannot control, while letting their own immediate lives crumble. Sovereign, highly effective individuals do the exact opposite. They ruthlessly restrict their emotional energy to their circle of influence. They choose to remain selectively ignorant of superficial gossip, political theater, and outrage trends that carry zero actionable relevance to their lives. This is not selfish or head-in-the-sand apathy. It is the ultimate strategy for personal sanity and real-world impact. When you withdraw your precious life force from global outrage factories and invest it entirely into the physical space immediately in front of you, you gain massive clarity, deep peace, and the focus required to actually build a powerful, meaningful existence. Cut the digital ties that bind you to outrage, reclaim your attention, and let your mind return to its natural state of quiet, grounded clarity. Chapter 5. The fifth critical vector in stopping the invisible hemorrhage of your life force is mastering the mechanics of emotional friction in personal and professional relationships, and learning how to disengage from high-drain, interpersonal dynamics. Human beings are deeply social creatures. Our nervous systems are hardwired for co-regulation, empathy, and social connection. However, this deep biological hardwiring is a double-edged sword. When you do not consciously audit and manage the relationships in your life, your nervous system automatically becomes open terrain for high-conflict individuals, chronic venters, emotional manipulators, and narcissistically oriented personalities. These individuals operate as biological parasites within your emotional economy, converting your empathy into their temporary comfort while leaving you hollow, depleted, and bitter. To halt this massive drain, you must first develop a precise taxonomy of relationship dynamics and learn to identify the specific structural archetypes of high-drain individuals. The most prevalent archetype is the chronic venter, often referred to as the emotional dumper. The emotional dumper is an individual who uses other human beings not for true, reciprocal connection or constructive problem-solving, but as a human wastebasket for their unprocessed negative emotions. They reach out to you only when their life is in chaos, flooding you with detailed narratives of their grievances, slights, and personal dramas. If you attempt to offer logical solutions, they quickly dismiss them because they are not interested in resolving the issue. They are addicted to the secondary gain of sympathy, drama, and external validation. A second, far more insidious archetype is the strategic manipulator or guilt tripper. This individual maintains access to your emotional bank account by continuously manufacturing debt and obligations. They utilize subtle passive-aggressive remarks, guilt, cold shoulders, and implied disappointment to keep you perpetually off balance. When you attempt to set a basic boundary, such as saying no to an event, prioritizing your own rest, or disagreeing with their perspective, they frame your healthy self-preservation as a betrayal, a selfish act, or proof that you do not care about them. Because your nervous system fears social disapproval and conflict, you surrender your boundary, pay the penalty in emotional debt, and give them what they want, just to relieve the immediate pressure of their implied judgment. A third high-drain dynamic is the perpetual victim, an individual whose entire identity is built around the belief that the universe, society, their ex-partner, or their employer is actively conspiring against them. No matter how much time, financial assistance, or emotional support you invest in them, their situation never improves. Every solution you offer is met with a "yes, but" excuses loop. They drag you into a dark, helpless worldview where progress is impossible. If you remain tied to a perpetual victim for too long, their helpless, cynical worldview slowly infects your own nervous system, convincing you that your efforts in life are equally futile. To disengage from these toxic dynamics without engaging in unnecessary, energy-draining warfare, you must learn the psychological art of low-friction disengagement and the gray rock method. When inexperienced individuals realize they are being emotionally drained by a relationship, they often make the mistake of launching an intense, dramatic confrontation. They write long, emotionally detailed text messages, demand heavy closure conversations, or hurl accusations. This is a profound strategic error. Dramatic confrontations burn enormous amounts of emotional energy, create intense defensive reactions, and invite the high-drain individual into an endless loop of debate, denial, and escalation. You cannot use emotional intensity to solve an issue caused by emotional intensity. The gray rock method is a far more effective, sovereign strategy. When interacting with high-drain individuals whom you cannot immediately or completely cut out of your life, such as family members, co-workers, or co-parents, you make yourself as emotionally uninteresting, unreactive, and flat as a gray rock. You withhold the emotional drama, outrage, over-explaining, and validation that they are fishing for. When they attempt to pull you into a drama loop, dump their processed toxicity on you, or provoke an argument, you respond with brief, neutral, low vocal energy statements. "I see. That sounds like a complex situation. Thank you for letting me know." Or, "I hope you find a good way forward with that." By refusing to provide emotional fuel, you break the dynamic without creating a battleground. High-drain individuals feed on emotional reactivity, whether that reactivity is sympathy, anger, defensiveness, or fear. When they encounter the calm, impenetrable wall of a gray rock, their attempts to harvest your emotional energy fail. They quickly become bored and move on to find another target whose boundaries are porous and whose energy can be harvested without resistance. You protect your life force not by fighting them, but by rendering your nervous system completely inaccessible to their drama. Furthermore, you must establish strict rules of engagement for your time and communication availability. Many people suffer from a continuous, low-grade sense of anxiety because they operate under the unexamined assumption that they must be instantly accessible to everyone at all times. They have push notifications enabled for every messaging app, answer phone calls instantly regardless of what they are doing, and respond to non-urgent work emails at 10 o'clock at night. This state of constant hyper-accessibility sends a destructive signal to your own subconscious mind. It tells your brain that your current focus, rest, and peace are worthless, and that anyone with a keyboard or a phone number has the right to interrupt your life at any second. To reclaim your sovereignty, you must build intentional friction into your communication systems. You must implement batching protocols for messages and emails turning off real-time notifications, and checking communication platforms only at designated times during the day. You must teach the people in your life how to treat your time by refusing to jump at every digital summons. When someone texts or calls you during your focused work, rest, or family time, you do not need to drop everything to respond instantly unless there is a genuine physical emergency. Allowing a gap of several hours before responding sends a clear, unspoken message. Your time is valuable, your focus is protected, and your presence must be respected. Finally, you must confront the hidden fear of loss that keeps you tethered to toxic relationships. Many people remain in high-drain friendships, romantic partnerships, or professional networks long after the value has completely evaporated, because they are terrified of the temporary discomfort of loneliness, or because they feel bound by the sunk cost fallacy, believing that because they have invested 5, 10, or 20 years into a relationship, they must continue paying for it for the rest of their lives. This is financial and emotional madness. The time and energy you spent in the past is gone forever. Continuing to pour your remaining future energy into a toxic, non-reciprocal relationship will never buy back the past. You must grant yourself full permission to audit your social portfolio and gracefully sunset relationships that no longer serve your growth, peace, and highest values. Not every friendship is meant to be a lifetime commitment. Many relationships are meant for a specific season, lesson, or stage of development. When a relationship consistently yields negative emotional returns, leaves you feeling drained after every interaction, and demands that you shrink your authentic self to keep the peace, it is time to release it. Let go of the need to fix, convince, or maintain connections with people who drain your soul. Clear out the toxic interpersonal clutter from your life, and use the newly reclaimed energetic space to cultivate deep, reciprocal, high-value relationships that nourish your spirit and elevate your existence. Chapter 6. The sixth vector in mastering your personal energy economy is the systematic identification, healing, and neutralization of guilt, shame, and internalized conditional self-worth. Of all the destructive psychological forces that drive human beings to overspend their emotional time and energy, guilt and shame are by far the most covert, persistent, and devastating. Guilt is the burning, uncomfortable feeling that you have done something wrong, violated a moral code, or failed to meet an expectation. Shame goes even deeper. It is the toxic, subconscious belief that you are fundamentally flawed, inadequate, unlovable, or bad as a human being. Together, guilt and shame act as a massive internal whip, driving you into relentless overfunctioning, people-pleasing, overworking, and self-sacrifice in a desperate, endless attempt to prove your worth and earn the right to exist. When your daily choices are driven by underlying guilt or shame, your emotional bank account is subjected to continuous, predatory taxation. You say yes to commitments you despise because you feel too guilty to say no. You over-explain your basic decisions to justify taking time for yourself. You stay late at work doing tasks outside your job description because you feel a quiet, pervasive terror that if you are not constantly producing, you are worthless. You allow family members to cross your physical and emotional boundaries because you have been conditioned to believe that prioritizing your own mental sanity over their immediate comfort is a selfish, sinful act. To dismantle this internal tyranny, you must first uncover the primary sources of your conditioned guilt and shame. Guilt and shame are rarely innate, natural emotions. They are sophisticated social control mechanisms imposed upon you during childhood, adolescence, or early adult development. Families, religious institutions, educational systems, and societal structures frequently utilize guilt and shame to enforce compliance, conformity, and submissive behavior. You were taught, implicitly or explicitly, that your natural needs, emotions, boundaries, and self-expression were inconvenient, wrong, or dangerous. You learned that to be loved, accepted, and safe, you had to suppress your true, authentic self, put everyone else's needs ahead of your own, and continuously earn your keep through self-sacrifice. This toxic conditioning creates a subconscious psychological contract known as conditional worth. Under the rules of conditional worth, you believe that your value as a human being is not an intrinsic, unassailable fact, but a fragile, temporary state that must be continuously earned through performance, perfection, approval, and self-abandonment. Every time you try to rest, set a firm boundary, or pursue your own authentic desires, your internalized guilt algorithm fires, warning you that you are being selfish, lazy, or bad. To quiet this uncomfortable internal alarm, you surrender your boundary, abandon your rest, and throw your precious time and energy back onto the altar of external expectations. To break free from this cycle, you must undergo a complete philosophical rewrite of your understanding of selfishness, self-preservation, and intrinsic worth. You must recognize that the weaponized label of selfish is almost always used by manipulative, high-drain individuals or structures to force you to surrender your boundaries for their benefit. True selfishness is demanding that another human being sacrifice their health, sanity, time, and peace to satisfy your personal demands and comfort. Protecting your own finite time, energy, and nervous system health so that you can live a grounded, sovereign, and meaningful life is not selfish. It is an absolute biological necessity and a fundamental moral duty. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot offer true, grounded love, high-level creative work, or authentic service to the world if your internal battery is registering at absolute zero. When you burn yourself out to satisfy everyone else's demands, you are not being a saint. You are engaging in slow, chronic self-destruction disguised as virtue. Your primary responsibility in this life is not to keep everyone around you comfortable, happy, and validated. Your primary responsibility is to govern your own life, preserve your own vitality, align with your own truth, and cultivate a peaceful, powerful internal world from which true, sustainable value can flow to those who genuinely deserve it. To neutralize guilt in real time, you must learn the practice of sitting with the discomfort of disapproval. When you first begin setting firm boundaries, saying no to unreasonable demands, and refusing to over-explain your choices, your conditioned guilt algorithm will fire with intense speed and heat. Your chest will tighten, your stomach will drop, and a strong urge will wash over you to take back your boundary, apologize, and surrender to relieve the internal tension. This is the critical moment of truth. If you surrender to the guilt, you reinforce the neural pathway, teaching your brain that guilt is an effective tool to keep you submissive. Instead, when the spike of guilt hits, you sit completely still. You do not react, you do not apologize, and you do not back down. You observe the physical sensation of guilt in your body neutrally, recognizing it for what it truly is, a primitive, outdated survival alarm triggered by old conditioning, not a reflection of objective truth or moral failure. You tell yourself calmly, I am experiencing guilt right now because I am breaking an old, toxic pattern of self-abandonment. This guilt is proof that I am healing. I am allowed to say no. I am allowed to protect my peace. By allowing the wave of guilt to peak and wash through your body without acting on it, you rewire your nervous system, stripping guilt of its power to dictate your life choices. Furthermore, you must systematically eliminate the habit of over-explaining and offering excessive justifications for your decisions. Insecure, guilt-driven individuals rarely deliver a clean, simple no. When asked to do something they lack the bandwidth for, they launch into a long, dramatic saga of excuses, detailing their busy schedule, their health issues, or their personal problems, desperately hoping the other person will validate their reason and grant them permission to decline. This over-explaining instantly lowers your status, signals internal weakness, and hands the other person a list of objections that they can dismantle to pressure you into surrendering. A sovereign individual delivers clean, clear, and unshakable decisions without preamble or apology. No is a complete sentence. Phrases such as, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I don't have the bandwidth for this. That doesn't align with my current priorities," or simply, "I am unable to make that work," communicate immense internal strength, self-possession, and absolute authority over your own life force. You do not need to justify why you are protecting your own time. You do not need a tragic excuse to justify resting on a Sunday afternoon. Your time and energy belong to you by right of existence. Finally, you must cultivate radical self-compassion and establish an internal baseline of unconditional self-worth. You must rewrite the fundamental story you tell yourself about who you are and why you matter. Your worth as a human being is not derived from your productivity, your job title, your bank account, your willingness to be used by others, or the applause of your social circle. Your worth is intrinsic, immutable, and non-negotiable. When you anchor your identity firmly in this truth, the fear of rejection, disappointment, and disapproval loses its hold on your mind. You stop using your precious life force to buy external validation, and you begin directing your energy toward building a life of profound peace, sovereign power, and genuine fulfillment. Chapter 7. The seventh vector in mastering your personal energy economy requires a rigorous, objective examination of workplace dynamics, career obligations, and the insidious phenomenon known as occupational overfunctioning. For the vast majority of working adults, the workplace represents the single largest daily leak on their emotional bank accounts. Modern corporate culture, high-pressure competitive environments, and the boundaryless nature of digital work have combined to turn professional life into an endless furnace that consumes human vitality at an alarming rate. Millions of professionals operate in a state of continuous cognitive overload, perpetually tethered to their work through smartphones, laptops, and messaging platforms, burning through their finite reserves of focus and emotional bandwidth long after official working hours have concluded. To understand why work consumes such a massive portion of your life force, you must first deconstruct the psychological trap of professional overfunctioning. Overfunctioning in a career setting occurs when an employee regularly performs tasks, carries emotional burdens, and assumes responsibilities that lie far beyond their actual job description, compensation level, or physical capacity. This behavior is rarely driven by genuine operational necessity. Rather, it is propelled by an internal cocktail of perfectionism, fear of inadequacy, imposter syndrome, and the misguided belief that continuous self-sacrifice is the only path to career security and advancement. When you fall into the trap of overfunctioning, you create a toxic feedback loop within your professional ecosystem. Organizations and managers are inherently opportunistic systems designed to maximize output while minimizing resource expenditure. When a manager sees an employee who consistently steps up to fix every operational failure, answer emails at midnight, take on the workload of underperforming colleagues, and absorb infinite amounts of stress without complaining, the organization does not reward that employee with rest, protection, or long-term safety. Instead, the organization recalibrates its baseline expectations around that employee's overfunctioning state. Your extreme, unsustainable level of output becomes the new minimum standard. The reward for being the most reliable workhorse in the field is simply more work and heavier burdens. To break this cycle, you must undergo a profound cognitive shift regarding your relationship with your career. You must recognize that an employment contract is fundamentally a business transaction, not a sacred emotional covenant or a family bond. You are exchanging a specific quantity of your time, skill, and focused labor for an agreed-upon financial compensation. When you treat your employer as an emotional parent, whose approval you must continuously earn through burnout and boundaryless dedication, you render yourself vulnerable to extreme exploitation. A sovereign professional maintains an objective, clear-eyed view of their labor, delivering exceptional, high-value performance during working hours, while fiercely protecting their personal identity, health, and life force outside of those designated boundaries. The core mechanism for protecting your energy at work is the practice of ruthless professional prioritizing and the mastery of strategic underperformance. In any given job, not all tasks are created equal. The Pareto principle applies directly to professional productivity. Roughly 20% of your daily tasks produce 80% of the actual business value, while the remaining 80% consists of low-impact administrative busywork, performative meetings, unnecessary paperwork, and superficial communication traffic. Amateurs and perfectionists attempt to execute every single task on their plate with equal, maximum effort, draining their cognitive battery on low-value details and leaving themselves completely exhausted when high-leverage opportunities arise. Strategic underperformance means making a conscious, deliberate choice to invest minimal effort into low-leverage, non-essential tasks so that you can preserve your elite cognitive energy for high-impact objectives that actually drive real results and move your career forward. It means allowing low-priority, low-value administrative requests to sit unanswered for a few hours, declining non-essential status update meetings that could easily be replaced by a concise bulleted email, and delivering good enough work on minor procedural tasks while saving your deep focus and creative brilliance for critical strategic projects. By refusing to waste your highest-level cognitive fuel on low-value corporate noise, you maintain a massive reserve of personal energy while actually raising the perceived quality of your core professional output. Furthermore, you must establish hard digital and physical boundaries between your working life and your personal life. The introduction of remote work, mobile collaboration apps, and constant connectivity has systematically eroded the physical walls that historically separated the office from the home. If you allow work communication channels to reside on your personal devices without strict limits, your home ceases to be a haven of rest and repair. It becomes an extension of the workplace. Every time your phone chimes with a work notification while you are sitting down for dinner, relaxing with loved ones, or preparing for sleep, your nervous system experiences a sudden spike of micro-stress, pulling you out of parasympathetic recovery and thrusting you back into workplace hypervigilance. Reclaiming your energy demands that you establish absolute non-negotiable boundaries around your off hours. You must remove work messaging applications from your personal mobile devices, or utilize strict system-level focus modes that automatically disable all work notifications the second your working day officially ends. You must explicitly condition your colleagues, clients, and superiors to understand your availability patterns. If you consistently answer emails at 9 o'clock on a Sunday evening, you are actively teaching your network that your off hours are fair game for interruption. When you consistently refrain from checking or responding to non-emergency work messages outside of agreed business hours, you establish an unshakable boundary that forces others to respect your time and plan their requests more effectively. Additionally, you must learn to navigate workplace drama, office politics, and organizational toxicity without absorbing the surrounding emotional pollution. Every workplace contains its own unique landscape of political maneuvering, complaining circles, managerial dysfunction, and ambient anxiety. Low-level employees burn vast amounts of emotional energy, engaging in water cooler venting sessions, obsessing over internal power struggles, or taking organizational chaos personally. A sovereign professional operates within the corporate environment like a skilled diplomat in a foreign territory, polite, engaged, highly effective, yet completely unattached emotionally to the internal drama of the system. When colleagues gather to complain about leadership or spread anxiety regarding rumors of organizational change, you do not join the venting circle, nor do you offer unsolicited advice. You maintain a warm, neutral composure, offer a low-energy validating phrase, and excuse yourself to return to your core work. You recognize that the organizational system exists outside of your personal identity, and that trying to single-handedly fix a dysfunctional corporate culture is a guaranteed path to burnout. You focus entirely on controlling your own output, protecting your own peace, and maximizing your professional growth. By refusing to invest your emotional currency into workplace theater, you preserve your energy, protect your mental health, and maintain the clarity required to thrive in your current role or pivot smoothly to better opportunities when the time is right. Chapter 8. The eighth vector in stopping the chronic spending of your emotional time and energy is mastering the psychological dynamics of decision fatigue, choice reduction, and cognitive streamlining. Human beings possess a finite, strictly limited daily quota of executive function and decision-making capacity. Every single choice you make throughout the day, from the moment you open your eyes in the morning until you close them at night, draws directly from the exact same central reservoir of mental energy housed within your prefrontal cortex. It makes no difference whether the decision is a monumental, high-stakes choice regarding a career pivot or a trivial, low-impact choice regarding what shirt to wear, what to eat for lunch, or which email to answer first. Every micro-decision taxes your neural resources, slowly wearing down your cognitive stamina and reducing your capacity for self-control, clarity, and deep focus. This psychological phenomenon is known as decision fatigue, As your daily reservoir of decision-making energy drains, your brain naturally seeks ways to conserve remaining power, leading to two distinct and highly destructive behavioral defaults: decision avoidance and impulsive decision-making. When you reach a state of decision fatigue, you either freeze entirely, procrastinating on critical life tasks, letting important mails stack up unopened, and avoiding complex conversations, or you surrender your standards entirely, making impulsive, poor-quality choices out of sheer cognitive exhaustion. You order junk food instead of cooking a healthy meal, spend money on useless items, surrender to mindless scrolling, or snap at family members over minor issues, simply because your prefrontal cortex no longer possesses the metabolic fuel required to regulate your impulses and maintain grounded discipline. To halt this invisible tax on your daily life force, you must learn to construct a low-friction lifestyle through the systematic elimination of trivial choices. Highly effective sovereign individuals do not rely on raw, unassisted willpower to navigate their daily existence. They recognize that willpower is an unreliable, rapidly depleting resource. Instead, they design structured environments, automated systems, and rigid personal protocols that handle low-value routine decisions automatically, freeing up their high-level executive function for the things that truly matter. They audit their lives to identify where micro-decisions are cluttering their mental space and systematically eliminate them through standardization. The first environment to optimize through cognitive streamlining is your daily routine and physical environment. Consider the immense quantity of decision-making energy wasted every single morning by the average person, waking up without a plan, staring at a closet full of clothes while deciding what to wear, hunting for lost keys, debating what to eat for breakfast, and reacting randomly to incoming notifications. By the time this individual leaves their home, they have already executed dozens of trivial micro-decisions, entering their professional day with a significantly degraded cognitive battery. You eliminate this leak by implementing standardized, non-negotiable morning and evening routines. You eliminate wardrobe decision friction by adopting a simplified, modular personal uniform or laying out your exact attire the evening before. You eliminate nutritional decision friction by meal prepping or establishing fixed, high-protein daily meal templates that remove the need to decide what to eat on a whim. You establish dedicated, fixed physical locations for all essential personal items, keys, wallet, phone, documents, so that retrieving them requires zero conscious search effort. By automating the mechanical logistics of your daily life, you transform your mornings from a chaotic gauntlet of micro-decisions into a smooth, effortless sequence that preserves your peak mental clarity for your primary creative and strategic work. Beyond physical routines, you must apply the principle of cognitive streamlining to your workflow, task management, and information handling. A major source of continuous decision fatigue is keeping open tasks, unmade choices, and vague obligations floating loosely inside your conscious working memory. Your short-term memory is designed to process information, not to act as a storage warehouse for your unorganized life. When you rely on your brain to remember to pay a bill, make a phone call, buy a specific item, or follow up on a project, those unorganized items sit in the background of your consciousness, like open, memory-hogging software applications on a computer, silently draining your metabolic battery every second of the day. You plug this continuous leak by establishing a trusted, external, second brain, a centralized, highly structured digital or physical task management system into which every obligation, idea, task, and project is immediately offloaded, categorized, and assigned a specific action date. When an incoming task or request enters your life, you do not let it linger in your mind or sit vaguely in your inbox. You immediately apply the 2-minute rule. If the task takes less than 2 minutes to execute, such as sending a quick confirmation email or filing a document, you perform it immediately and eliminate it. If it requires more than 2 minutes, you capture it instantly in your external system, schedule a specific time for its execution, and completely purge it from your conscious working memory. Because your mind fully trusts that your external system will prompt you at the exact right moment, it lets go of the underlying background anxiety, freeing up immense reserves of cognitive space. Furthermore, You must master the art of establishing pre-committed personal rules and hard heuristics to eliminate recurring moral and behavioral struggles. A heuristic is a simple, fixed decision-making rule that automatically dictates your response to a specific category of situation, completely eliminating the need to deliberate, negotiate with yourself, or spend energy making a choice in the moment. When you rely on real-time deliberation to make daily choices, debating whether you feel like going to the gym today, whether you should have a drink at a social event, or whether you should check your phone during family time, you force your brain to reevaluate the exact same choice over and over again, draining your energy through internal friction and self-negotiation. By establishing clear, non-negotiable personal rules, you eliminate the deliberation entirely. For example, instead of deciding every morning whether to exercise, you adopt the rule, I move my body for 45 minutes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 7 o'clock, regardless of how I feel. Instead of debating whether to answer work calls during dinner, you adopt the rule, my phone enters do not disturb mode at 6:30 every evening, no exceptions. Because the rule is absolute and pre-committed, there is no internal debate, no expenditure of willpower, and zero decision fatigue. The choice was made once, in advance, by your sovereign self. Your daily self simply executes the protocol with zero friction. Finally, you must cultivate the courage to embrace satisficing over maximizing when making medium and low-stakes choices. Psychologists divide decision-makers into two primary types: maximizers and satisficers. Maximizers are individuals who exhaustively research every single available option before making a choice, seeking the absolute perfect outcome, whether they are buying a pair of shoes, booking a flight, or picking a restaurant. This relentless search for perfection leads to extreme decision fatigue, chronic second-guessing, and profound regret, because no choice can ever live up to the theoretical ideal. Satisficers, by contrast, establish clear, objective criteria for what constitutes a good enough outcome before they begin searching. The moment they find an option that meets their basic criteria, they select it immediately and move on with their lives, without wasting another second, wondering if a marginally better option existed elsewhere. To preserve your vital emotional energy, you must adopt the mindset of a satisficer for 80% of the decisions you make in life. Reserve your deep research, rigorous analysis, and perfectionist focus exclusively for the top 20% of high-stakes life choices, such as selecting a life partner, making major investments, or deciding on a career pivot. For everything else, purchasing everyday household goods, choosing a hotel for a short trip, picking a meal, or selecting software tools, set simple, clear criteria, choose the first option that meets those standards, and close the file permanently. Accept that perfection is an illusion that drains your life force, while good enough frees your mind to focus on true greatness. Streamline your choices, automate your routines, offload your mental clutter, and protect your precious prefrontal bandwidth so that you can navigate your existence with power, ease, and unshakable clarity. Chapter 9. The ninth vector in mastering your personal energy economy requires a deep, uncompromising audit of how past emotional debt, unhealed trauma, and unresolved internal conflicts continuously drain your present moment vitality. Many people operate under the mistaken impression that time heals all wounds automatically, that an event, betrayal, loss, or failure that occurred 5, 10, or 20 years ago is safely buried simply because it belongs to the past. However, the human nervous system does not operate on a linear clock. Undigested emotional pain, unspoken resentments, and unresolved personal grief do not evaporate into thin air. They remain stored directly inside your physical body, subtle muscle tension, and subconscious mind. They function as active, hidden financial liabilities on your internal balance sheet, quietly siphoning off vast quantities of metabolic and psychological energy every single day to keep them suppressed. To understand the immense energetic cost of unresolved past trauma, you must grasp the concept of repression maintenance. Repression is not a passive, static state. It is an active, continuous biological process. Suppressing painful memories, unexpressed anger, or deep grief requires your nervous system to exert constant counterforce. It is the psychological equivalent of holding a heavy, air-filled ball underwater with your bare hands. As long as you keep your hand pressed firmly on the ball, it stays hidden beneath the surface, giving the outward illusion of calm water. But the physical exertion required to keep that ball submerged never stops. Your muscles remain subtly braced, your breathing stays shallow, your nervous system remains hypervigilant, and a massive portion of your daily cognitive fuel is permanently locked up in maintaining that artificial seal. When your vitality is tied up in repression maintenance, you experience chronic, unexplainable fatigue. You wake up feeling tired, even after 8 hours of sleep. You struggle with persistent brain fog, and your emotional tolerance for everyday stress becomes paper-thin. Minor inconveniences in your current reality, a delayed flight, a slow internet connection, or a mild critique from a colleague, trigger wildly disproportionate surges of rage, panic, or despair. This happens because the minor event in the present acts as a microscopic needle, pricking the tightly stretched balloon of your suppressed historical pain. The overwhelming emotion you feel in that moment belongs 90% to your unhealed past, and only 10% to the present situation. You are forced to spend immense energy suppressing an emotional volcano that was ignited years ago. At the core of this chronic historical drain lies the toxic, energy-devouring habit of holding personal grudges and maintaining internal courtrooms. Millions of people carry detailed, meticulously maintained mental dossiers of every person who has ever wronged them, betrayed their trust, failed to support them, or treated them unfairly. They replay these past betrayals in their minds like a loop of bad film, endlessly arguing their case before an imaginary jury, reproving their innocence, and harboring deep fantasies of vindication, public exposure, or revenge. They carry these ancient resentments around like hot coal in their bare hands, completely blind to the obvious truth that the person who harmed them has moved on with their life, while they themselves are consuming their own vital organs with the slow-burning acid of bitter rage. Holding a grudge is an act of severe emotional self-destruction. It is a biological law that your body releases stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, inflammatory cytokines, not based on who was right or wrong in a past dispute, but strictly based on what your mind is currently dwelling upon. Every time you summon the memory of an old enemy or relive an ancient betrayal to feed your resentment, your body re-experiences the original biological trauma as if it were happening right now in physical space. You are voluntarily poisoning your own blood, ruining your own health, and burning your own finite energy to punish someone who is not even in the room. You are drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. To plug this massive energy leak, you must cultivate the practice of radical forgiveness, not as an act of moral righteousness, religious obligation, or weak weakness, but as a cold, strategic act of personal energy liberation and self-preservation. Forgiveness is one of the most widely misunderstood concepts in human culture. Most people resist forgiving those who harmed them because they equate forgiveness with condoning bad behavior, excusing injustice, minimizing their own pain, or pretending the betrayal never happened. They believe that holding on to anger is a form of protection or a punishment that holds the offender accountable. True radical forgiveness has absolutely nothing to do with the person who harmed you, nor does it require you to reconcile with them, trust them again, or allow them back into your life. Radical forgiveness is the conscious, sovereign decision to cancel an uncollectible emotional debt. It is the realization that the past cannot be changed, that your demand for an apology or restitution from an unrepentant person is an impossible fantasy, and that continuing to demand payment from a bankrupt source is destroying your own life. When you forgive, you do not say, "What you did was acceptable." You say, "What you did was unacceptable, but I refuse to allow my present peace, my current health, and my future destiny to be held hostage by my past. I release the demand for payment. I close the account permanently." Releasing emotional debt also requires you to confront and forgive the most difficult target of all, yourself. Millions of individuals carry crippling loads of self-directed anger, shame, and regret over past choices, failed businesses, ruined relationships, missed opportunities, or personal moral failures. They live in a state of permanent self-flagellation, replaying their worst mistakes and whispering brutal, abusive critiques to themselves in the privacy of their own minds. How could you be so stupid? You ruined your life. You should have known better. This internal warfare is an absolute catastrophe for your personal energy economy. You cannot build a powerful, peaceful life while living in a house with an internal roommate who hates your guts and attacks your character every single day. To forgive yourself, you must adopt the lens of historical compassion and recognize the fundamental limits of past awareness. You must accept that your past self made decisions based on the specific level of consciousness, psychological conditioning, emotional maturity, biological stress, and information available to them at that exact moment in time. It is profoundly unfair and logically absurd to judge your past self using the wisdom, perspective, and hindsight that you only acquired because you lived through that very mistake. Your past self did not possess the awareness you have today. If they had, they would have made a better choice. You must look back at that younger, confused, wounded, or foolish version of yourself, not with hatred, but with deep, grounded compassion. Acknowledge the mistake, extract the vital wisdom, integrate the lesson, and grant your past self a full, unconditional pardon. Finally, you must learn to discharge stored emotional energy from your physical body through active, somatic release. Emotional experiences are not abstract, ethereal thoughts. They are concrete biological events involving chemical surges, muscular contractions, and nervous system shifts. When an emotion is fully felt, expressed, and moved through the body, it completes its natural biological cycle and leaves the system. However, when an emotion is suppressed due to social conditioning or fear, that biological energy becomes trapped in the physical tissues, manifesting as chronic muscle tension in the jaw, shoulders, neck, and lower back, as well as gut dysfunction, shallow breathing, and systemic inflammation. To free this trapped energy, you must move beyond passive intellectual talking therapy and engage in direct somatic practices. You must give your physical body permission to complete the biological stress cycles that were frozen in the past. This includes deep, conscious breathwork that restores natural diaphragmatic movement, intentional physical shaking and stretching to discharge stored muscular armor, high-intensity physical movement, and creating safe, private spaces where you can fully express deep grief through crying or release old anger through vocalization without judgment or filter. When you allow your body to complete these stored biological cycles, the physical tension melts away, the internal seal of repression dissolves, and the massive reserves of energy that were once locked up in fighting your past flow back into your present life, filling you with an unshakable sense of lightness, vitality, and sovereign power. Chapter 10. The 10th vector in mastering your personal energy economy is the systematic identification, deconstruction, and elimination of performative living, social mask-wearing, and the desperate pursuit of status and external applause. Human beings possess an innate, evolutionary-driven desire for social belonging and acceptance. In our ancestral environments, being exiled or rejected by the tribe meant almost certain physical death. Consequently, our brains developed hypersensitive neural hardware dedicated to monitoring social standing, seeking group approval, and conforming to tribal norms. In the modern world, however, this ancient biological drive has been weaponized by commercial interests, social media architectures, and hyper-consumerist cultures, driving individuals to burn their finite life force, constructing elaborate, artificial personas designed to impress people they do not even respect. Performative living is the practice of organizing your choices, habits, purchases, career paths, and public statements around how they will be perceived by others, rather than whether they align with your authentic internal truth, personal values, and practical needs. It is living your life from the outside in, prioritizing the cosmetic surface of your existence over its internal substance. When you engage in performative living, your energy account is subjected to a relentless, compounding tax. Maintaining a false social persona requires immense, uninterrupted psychological exertion. You must constantly monitor your speech, curate your image, hide your true feelings, suppress your genuine interests, and pretend to hold opinions, beliefs, and preferences that you do not actually possess, simply to fit into a specific social circle or project an illusion of high status. The physical and psychological friction generated by this continuous mask-wearing is immense. Psychologists refer to this friction as cognitive dissonance, the painful internal tension that arises when your outward actions, words, and public presentation stand in direct contradiction to your deep internal reality. Operating in a state of chronic cognitive dissonance is like driving a high-performance vehicle with the emergency brake fully engaged. Your engine roars, fuel is consumed at an astronomical rate, and heat builds up to dangerous levels, yet you make very little genuine forward progress. You collapse into bed exhausted not because you did meaningful, transformative work, but because you spent 12 hours continuously holding up a heavy, artificial mask for an audience that isn't even truly paying attention. To free yourself from this exhausting performance, you must confront the profound psychological truth of the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is a universal cognitive bias in which individuals radically overestimate the degree to which other people are observing, judging, analyzing, and thinking about their appearance, behavior, choices, and lifestyle. Because we spend 100% of our lives trapped inside our own heads, we naturally feel as though we are the central protagonist, standing under a bright spotlight on a global stage, with everyone around us watching our every move. In objective reality, there is no spotlight. Everyone around you is completely absorbed in the exact same self-centered illusion, trapped inside their own heads, obsessing over their own insecurities, worrying about their own futures, and wondering what you think of them. The people you are burning your life force attempting to impress do not spend their evenings thinking about your car, your job title, your wardrobe, your social posts, or your minor social stumbles. They might offer a passing, surface-level thought for 2 seconds before instantly returning to their own life drama. When you fully grasp the liberating truth that most people do not care about your life nearly as much as you think they do, the heavy burden of performative approval vanishes overnight. Reclaiming your energy from the status trap also requires a ruthless audit of your financial spending, material consumption, and lifestyle inflation. A massive percentage of human emotional spending is directly tethered to financial overspending, driven by the toxic desire to keep up with social expectations. Millions of people spend money they do not have, working high-stress jobs they despise, to buy expensive material items they do not need, to impress people they do not like. They finance luxury vehicles, purchase homes far larger than necessary, buy designer apparel, and attend expensive social rituals not for utility, comfort, or genuine joy, but strictly to project a visual signal of financial success and high social rank. This performative financial consumption creates an absolute trap for your personal sovereignty. When you inflate your lifestyle to match or exceed your income strictly to maintain an image, you build a gilded cage for yourself. You lock yourself into high fixed monthly financial obligations that require you to stay chained to high-stress, energy-draining jobs or business arrangements. You lose your leverage, your freedom of choice, and your ability to walk away from toxic environments because you cannot afford to drop below your artificial lifestyle standard. You sell your priceless daily peace, health, and freedom for the superficial, fleeting thrill of looking successful to outsiders. A sovereign, energy-conscious individual practices financial and experiential minimalism. They realize that true wealth is not the possession of expensive, status-signaling objects. True wealth is the absolute ownership of your own time, unshakable mental peace, physical health, and the freedom to choose how you spend your waking hours. They align their spending strictly with utility, long-term security, genuine personal enjoyment, and freedom. They wear simple, comfortable clothes, drive reliable vehicles, live in functional, low-stress environments, and laugh at the absurdity of status games. By stepping off the hedonic treadmill and refusing to compete in superficial social competitions, they eliminate their financial anxiety, lower their baseline living costs, and instantly liberate massive reserves of mental bandwidth and time that were previously burned keeping up appearances. Furthermore, you must develop the courage to embrace complete authenticity and radical transparency in your social interactions. Authenticity is the ultimate, non-negotiable shortcut to to personal energy conservation. When you choose to be completely authentic, speaking your true thoughts with grounded kindness, admitting when you do not know something, openly acknowledging your mistakes, displaying your genuine quirks, and refusing to pretend to be someone you are not, you completely eliminate the need for memory management, persona maintenance, and social strategy. You no longer have to keep track of what lie or image you presented to which person. You simply show up as your grounded, unvarnished self in every room you enter. Being authentic acts as a powerful, natural filter for your social ecosystem. When you drop the performative mask and show up in your raw, sovereign truth, two distinct things happen immediately. First, people who are fake, superficial, high drain, or invested in status games will feel deeply uncomfortable around you. Your genuine presence shines a harsh light on their artificial masks, causing them to naturally drift away from your orbit. Second, people who are grounded, authentic, high value, and deeply secure will be intensely attracted to your presence, recognizing you as a rare, trustworthy, and safe human being in a world full of performative theater. You instantly build a clean, high-trust, low-friction social circle that nourishes your spirit instead of draining your life force. Finally, you must shift your primary internal metric of success from external validation to internal alignment. As long as your sense of self-worth depends on likes, compliments, promotions, applause, or public approval, you will remain a helpless slave to the changing winds of public opinion. You will continually bend, shapeshift, and surrender your integrity to keep the audience clapping. You must anchor your self-worth firmly inside your own chest. At the end of every day, the only question that truly matters is not, "Did the world applaud me today?" but rather, "Did I live in alignment with my deepest values today? Did I protect my peace, honor my truth, respect my boundaries, and use my finite life force to build something of genuine substance?" When the answer to that internal question is an unshakable yes, the opinion of the world becomes entirely irrelevant. You are free, sovereign, and fully in command of your own life force. Chapter 11. The 11th vector in mastering your personal energy economy requires a rigorous, systematic mastery over emotional reactivity, biological regulation, and the mastery of your internal nervous system. To stop the reckless spending of your emotional bandwidth, you must understand the underlying biological architecture that converts external stimuli into psychological exhaustion. Every emotional reaction you experience is not merely an abstract mental event. It is a profound physical and chemical event that alters blood flow, floods your system with hormones, fires neural circuits, and consumes significant quantities of physical energy. When you live in a state of high emotional reactivity, snapping at minor frustrations, spiraling into anxiety over unexpected changes, or rising to every piece of bait tossed into your social field, you are placing your physical body under chronic biological strain. To halt this continuous biological drain, you must first demystify the physiological mechanics of the stress response and the autonomic nervous system. Your autonomic nervous system is divided into two primary operational branches, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic branch is your body's evolutionary accelerator. It is designed to mobilize immediate physical resources for emergency survival when a real, physical threat is detected. When your sympathetic nervous system fires, your brain triggers the release of adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. Your heart rate accelerates, your blood pressure spikes, your breathing shifts to fast, shallow chest movements, your pupils dilate, and non-essential long-term biological functions, such as digestion, immune cell production, cellular repair, and deep cognitive processing in the prefrontal cortex, are instantly dialed down or halted entirely. This sympathetic mobilization is an extraordinarily expensive biological process. It consumes massive amounts of glucose, drains metabolic reserves, and generates cellular inflammation. In nature, this state is designed to last for a few intense minutes. You run from the predator, fight the threat, or escape the immediate danger. Once the threat is resolved, the parasympathetic branch, your biological brake, takes over. The parasympathetic system slows your heart rate, deepens your breath, lowers stress hormone levels, restores metabolic equilibrium, and initiates cellular repair, digestion, and systemic rest. The central biological tragedy of modern life is that millions of individuals exist in a state of chronic, unbroken sympathetic dominance, because their nervous systems cannot distinguish between an attacking predator and an annoying email, a traffic delay, a passive-aggressive comment, or a sudden change in plans. Their biological accelerator remains jammed to the floor 16 hours a day. They spend hundreds of metabolic units every hour reacting to non-lethal, low-stakes micro-events as if they were life-or-death emergencies. They burn out their adrenal systems, destroy their digestive health, disrupt their sleep architecture, and leave themselves perpetually exhausted simply because they have never learned how to regulate their biological state. To reclaim control over your biological fuel, you must master the critical psychological space between stimulus and response. The average, uncultivated individual operates on a primitive, automatic stimulus-response loop. An external event occurs, and their conditioned emotional reaction fires instantly, with zero internal filter or delay. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and they are instantly consumed by rage. Someone sends an ambiguous text, and they are instantly plunged into anxious panic. Someone criticizes their work, and they instantly launch into defensive arguments. They live as helpless emotional marionettes, their internal state continuously pulled and manipulated by whatever string the outside world decides to yank. A sovereign, energy-conscious individual operates under a completely different internal framework. They cultivate the profound capacity to insert an unshakable wedge of conscious awareness between the external stimulus and their internal response. They recognize Viktor Frankl's immortal truth: between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space lies our freedom and our power to choose our response. When an unexpected, frustrating, or hostile event occurs in their environment, they do not immediately hand over their emotional energy. They pause, they step into the quiet, observant space between the event and their nervous system, evaluating the situation with cool, detached clarity, before deciding whether to invest even a single unit of emotional energy into a response. The primary, most reliable physical tool for instantly creating this conscious space and down-regulating a triggered nervous system is the deliberate mastery of diaphragmatic breath control. Your breathing pattern is the only biological function that sits directly at the intersection of your conscious mind and your unconscious autonomic nervous system. When you are stressed, angry, or anxious, your breathing automatically becomes shallow, rapid, and focused high in your chest. This shallow chest breathing sends a continuous stream of feedback signals directly to your brain's amygdala, confirming that you are in danger and maintaining the release of stress hormones. By consciously intervening and taking complete manual control of your respiratory pattern, you can override the alarm system and force your brain to initiate a parasympathetic reset. When a triggering event occurs, instead of speaking, reacting, or typing a defensive reply, you instantly drop your awareness into your body and execute the physiological sigh, or the 4-7-8 protocol. You take a deep, slow inhalation through your nose, deep into your lower abdomen for 4 seconds. Hold that breath gently for 7 seconds, and then release it through your mouth with a slow, completely smooth exhale, lasting 8 full seconds. The long, extended exhale is the biological trigger. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which immediately secretes acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that directly slows your heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and shuts off the secretion of cortisol. Within 60 seconds of deliberate, extended exhale breathing, you physically force your nervous system out of fight-or-flight panic and back into a state of calm, grounded baseline equilibrium. You regain full access to your prefrontal cortex, your rational decision-making capacity returns, and the sudden urge to engage in an energy-draining emotional outburst completely evaporates. Beyond real-time physiological regulation, you must master the cognitive technique known as reappraisal and framing control. Emotional reactions are not triggered directly by the raw events that occur in your environment. They are triggered by the specific story or meaning your brain assigns to those events. Two different individuals can experience the exact same event, such as being passed over for a promotion or having a client cancel a contract, and experience completely different emotional realities. The first individual frames the event as a catastrophic personal failure, an insult, or proof that they are helpless, triggering intense shame, anger, and prolonged depression. The second individual frames the exact same event as valuable market feedback, an opportunity to refine their strategy, or a useful redirection toward a better path, experiencing zero emotional loss and instantly channeling their energy into productive action. When an undesirable event occurs, your brain's automatic conditioning will attempt to assign a negative, victim-oriented frame to it. To protect your energy, you must immediately intervene with conscious cognitive reappraisal. You challenge the automatic narrative by asking 3 sovereign questions. First, is this event a genuine objective threat to my survival and physical safety, or is it merely an inconvenience to my ego? Second, what is the most empowering, constructive, and energy-preserving interpretation I can assign to this situation right now? Third, 5 years from today, will this specific event carry any meaningful weight in my life, or is it completely irrelevant? By systematically dismantling toxic internal narratives and deliberately choosing frames that serve your peace and growth, you starve emotional reactivity of its fuel. Finally, you must cultivate the practice of emotional equanimity and non-attachment. Equanimity is the capacity to remain inwardly steady, calm, and grounded, regardless of whether external circumstances are favorable or unfavorable, chaotic or peaceful, pleasant or painful. It is the realization that the external world is inherently unpredictable, dynamic, and beyond your absolute control. People will act irrationally, plans will falter, technology will fail, and circumstances will change without warning. If your peace of mind depends on the external world behaving perfectly according to your wishes, you will spend your entire life in a state of emotional turmoil. Equanimity is not emotional coldness, apathy, or dissociation. It is the ultimate expression of internal strength and sovereign self-possession. It is the ability to feel the full spectrum of human emotions, anger, sadness, joy, disappointment, without allowing those fleeting emotional states to hijack your choices, dictate your behavior, or consume your core life force. You observe your internal emotional weather as if you were watching clouds pass across a vast blue sky. The storms arrive, roll through, and naturally dissipate, but you remain the sky, unmoved, deep, expansive, and permanently serene. You stop spending your priceless vitality fighting the natural shifts of life, anchoring yourself firmly in an unshakable core of biological calm and sovereign composure. Chapter 12. The 12th vector in mastering your personal energy economy requires the systematic construction of sacred personal boundaries, space protection protocols, and the master art of saying no with absolute authority and zero internal friction. The word boundary is one of the most frequently used terms in modern self-help literature, yet it remains profoundly misunderstood by the vast majority of people. Most individuals view boundaries as defensive walls they build around themselves to keep bad people out, or as rules they must constantly preach, argue, and explain to others in hopes that society will respect their wishes. This approach to boundaries is inherently weak, exhausting, and doomed to continuous failure. A true, sovereign boundary is not an external wall, an argument, or a plea for respect. A boundary is a clear, internal personal protocol that dictates what you will do, where you will direct your time and energy, and what you will allow into your physical and psychological space. Boundaries are not meant to control, change, or regulate the behavior of other people. Boundaries are meant to regulate your behavior in response to external realities. When you attempt to use boundaries to force other people to change their behavior, you are engaging in an energy-draining war of control. When you use boundaries to govern your own actions, availability, and choices, you achieve total sovereignty over your life force. To understand why so many people struggle to set and maintain firm boundaries, you must examine the profound psychological fear that underpins boundarylessness, the fear of social confrontation, rejection, and abandonment. From an early age, most individuals are heavily conditioned to believe that being a good, likable, and valuable human being means being perpetually flexible, endlessly accommodating, and infinitely available. They internalize the dangerous myth that setting limits, protecting their time, or declining requests is an act of rudeness, selfishness, or hostility. Consequently, whenever they are faced with a demand that violates their energy budget, their boundaryless conditioning takes over, forcing them to smile, say yes, and quietly absorb the massive internal cost of self-abandonment. Every time you say yes to a request, obligation, or invitation, when your deep internal reality is screaming no, you are committing an act of profound self-betrayal. You are telling your subconscious mind that the comfort, convenience, and approval of another human being matters far more than your own health, sanity, time, and life purpose. You pay for that fake outward agreement with a massive withdrawal from your emotional bank account. The unexpressed anger and resentment you feel toward the person who asked you for something does not belong to them. It is the natural internal poison generated by your own failure to stand up for yourself and protect your life force. To break this destructive pattern, you must master the fundamental philosophy of sacred prioritization. You must accept the uncompromising mathematical reality of finite time and energy. Every single time you say yes to something low value, non-essential, or energy draining, you are automatically saying an absolute, non-negotiable no to something else that is vital to your existence. Saying yes to a superficial social gathering you despise means saying no to deep rest, family time, or a creative project. Saying yes to taking on an underperforming colleague's work means saying no to your own physical health, exercise, and peace of mind. There are no free passes in the currency of life. You are always saying no to something. The only choice you have is whether you say no to external demands or say no to your own health, dreams, and personal sanity. Mastering the art of boundary enforcement begins with the complete purification and streamlining of your refusal protocols. Insecure, boundaryless individuals make the mistake of viewing no as an aggressive, high-friction confrontation that requires elaborate justifications, apologies, and fabrications. When asked to attend an event, take on an extra project, or offer free labor, they stumble through long, apologetic explanations. "Oh, I'm so terribly sorry. I wish I could, but my week is just so chaotic, and my dog is sick, and I have all these other things going on." This over-explaining signals profound internal weakness, communicates that you feel guilty for having limits, and hands the other person a list of obstacles they can dismantle or negotiate around to pressure you into a yes. A sovereign individual delivers a clean, grounded, and polite refusal that leaves zero room for negotiation, debate, or manipulation. They treat their time as an unassailable asset that requires zero defense or justification. They utilize simple, high-status refusal templates that combine warmth, clarity, and absolute finality. "Thank you so much for thinking of me, but I am unable to take this on." That sounds like a wonderful initiative, but it doesn't align with my current commitments and bandwidth right now. I am fully booked for the foreseeable future, so I will have to decline. I appreciate the invitation, but I am taking time off to focus on personal priorities. Notice the structural elements of these sovereign refusals. They contain zero apologies, zero detailed excuses, zero fabrications, and zero openings for future negotiation. They are calm, polite, respectful, and completely final. If the other person attempts to push back, ask why, or pressure you into changing your mind, you do not launch into an argument or offer new explanations. You deploy the broken record technique. You simply repeat your original clean refusal statement with the exact same calm, neutral vocal tone and posture until the other person realizes that their pressure is having zero effect on your resolve. Beyond verbal refusals, you must construct physical and digital boundary protocols that safeguard your focused time, rest, and personal space from continuous intrusion. In our hyper-connected world, if you do not actively design your environment to block external noise, the outside world will invade every corner of your life. You must establish strict, non-negotiable focus blocks and rest sanctuaries within your daily schedule. A focus block is a dedicated, uninterrupted block of time, typically 90 to 120 minutes, during which you turn off all messaging platforms, close all social media feeds, Place your devices in airplane mode and dedicate 100% of your cognitive fuel to a single high-leverage objective. You make it explicitly clear to your team, family, or network that during your focus blocks, you are completely inaccessible except for genuine, physical life or death emergencies. Similarly, you must protect your home and bedroom as sacred rest sanctuaries. Your bedroom should be an absolute sanctuary dedicated strictly to high-quality sleep, physical recovery, intimacy, and deep peace. It should be entirely free from work laptops, stacks of administrative documents, television screens, and active smartphones. When you bring your work devices and digital stress into your sleeping environment, you pollute the energetic atmosphere of your sanctuary, conditioning your nervous system to associate your space of rest with hypervigilance, work anxiety, and endless cognitive processing. Furthermore, you must establish clear, non-negotiable boundaries around how people treat you in real-time interactions. You must never tolerate disrespect, passive-aggressive insults, raised voices, or boundary violations simply to keep the peace or avoid an uncomfortable scene. When someone crosses a line, whether it is a manager speaking to you with disrespect, a family member making insulting comments about your life choices, or a friend violating your privacy, you must execute an immediate, calm, and firm boundary intervention. An effective boundary intervention does not require shouting, emotional outbursts, or petty insults. Emotional drama signals weakness and lack of control. A sovereign boundary intervention is delivered with cold, absolute calm, low vocal pitch, direct eye contact, and precise language. You state the clear facts of the violation, state your boundary, and clearly communicate the immediate consequence if the behavior continues. I am happy to continue this professional discussion, but only if we maintain a respectful and calm tone. If you continue to raise your voice at me, I will end this meeting immediately, and we can resume tomorrow via email. I love you and want to enjoy our time together, but my career choices are not open for debate or criticism. If you bring this topic up again, I will get in my car and leave for the evening. Notice that the consequence is entirely focused on your action, what you will do to protect your peace, not on forcing the other person to change. The crucial key to boundary sovereignty lies in the immediate, uncompromising execution of the consequence. If the individual continues to raise their voice or criticize your life choices after the warning, you do not debate, argue, or issue a second warning. You instantly execute the consequence. You close your laptop, stand up, gather your belongings, and leave the room or end the call without hesitation or drama. When you consistently enforce consequences without hesitation, the people in your life quickly realize that your boundaries are not empty threats or negotiable suggestions. They are solid, unshakable laws of physics within your ecosystem. High-value individuals will respect your clarity, strength, and self-possession, adjusting their behavior accordingly. High-drain, manipulative individuals will realize they can no longer harvest your energy or walk over your dignity, naturally drifting away to find easier targets. By mastering the art of the clean no, constructing sacred space protocols, and enforcing firm consequences with unshakable composure, you erect an impenetrable fortress around your life force, ensuring that your precious emotional time and energy are spent exclusively on what brings deep peace, power, and genuine fulfillment to your existence. Chapter 13. The 13th vector in mastering your personal energy economy requires a total transformation in how you process, manage, and execute life transitions, unexpected crises, and the inevitable entropy of the human experience. Change is the fundamental, unassailable law of the physical universe. Seasons shift, economies fluctuate, organizations restructure, relationships evolve, physical bodies age, and unexpected disruptions routinely upend even the most meticulously constructed plans. Yet, despite the complete certainty of change, the vast majority of individuals spend immense quantities of emotional bandwidth fighting, denying, resisting, and mourning the natural evolution of their reality. They view every unexpected detour as a personal tragedy, burning their finite life force in a state of chronic existential friction against what is. To halt this massive drain, you must first deconstruct the psychological mechanics of reality resistance. Reality resistance is the unconscious, irrational habit of demanding that present circumstances conform to your past expectations, comfortable routines, or preferred timelines. When a sudden change occurs, a project cancellation, a sudden job loss, an unexpected diagnosis, a financial setback, or the dissolution of a partnership, the untrained mind instantly enters an energetic tailspin. It floods the body with stress hormones and loops through useless, low-level protests. This shouldn't be happening. Why now? It's not fair, or if only things were like they used to be. This internal protest is a catastrophic waste of human life force. The universe does not negotiate with your resistance, nor does it alter its trajectory because you feel aggrieved. The event has already occurred. The shift has already taken place. The friction, anxiety, and suffering you experience do not come from the change itself, but from the gap between the reality of the situation and your internal demand that reality be different. Every second you spend screaming at the tide for coming in is a second you are not using to build a boat. Reality resistance drains your prefrontal bandwidth, paralyzes your strategic thinking, and leaves you completely unprepared to adapt to the new terrain. To achieve energy sovereignty during moments of upheaval, you must cultivate the mindset of radical agility and fluid adaptability. Fluid adaptability is the psychological capacity to instantly abandon outdated assumptions, let go of dead strategies, and embrace new realities without emotional drama or lingering regret. Highly resilient, sovereign individuals do not waste time or energy wishing circumstances were easier or different. When a sudden shift occurs, they execute an immediate emotional write-off of the past state, accept the new baseline with cold, clear-eyed objectivity, and direct 100% of their available cognitive fuel towards strategic adaptation. They treat unexpected disruptions not as tragic dead ends, but as dynamic, raw material to be analyzed, navigated, and mastered. A central tool for maintaining energy stability through transitions is the systematic dismantling of the psychological sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy is the irrational emotional tendency to continue pouring time, energy, money, and emotional capital into a failing endeavor, a dead-end career path, or a toxic relationship simply because you have already invested heavily in it in the past. Your ego tricks you into believing that if you walk away now, all your past effort, sacrifice, and investment will have been wasted. To avoid confronting the uncomfortable pain of acknowledging a lost investment, you double down, burning even more of your future life force on a vessel that is rapidly sinking to the bottom of the ocean. This is mathematical and psychological insanity. The time, energy, and money you invested in the past are gone forever. They represent sunk costs that can never be recovered, regardless of whether you stay or leave. The only question that carries any logical or strategic weight is, given where I stand right now, will investing my next unit of time and energy into this path yield a positive return on investment for my future? If the objective answer is no, continuing to pour your life force into that path is not loyalty or perseverance. It is stubborn, energy-devouring self-destruction. A sovereign individual cuts losses without hesitation or emotional guilt. They recognize that walking away from a dead project, a stagnant role, or an unviable relationship is not a failure. It is a cold, strategic reallocation of precious capital from zero-yield liabilities to high-yield assets. They thank the past experience for the lessons, wisdom, and strength it provided, close the ledger, and redirect their energy toward building fresh momentum in alignment with present reality. They do not allow their past investments to hold their future destiny hostage. Furthermore, you must master the art of maintaining a sovereign baseline during acute crises. When a genuine crisis strikes, an emergency that demands immediate physical or strategic action, the average person succumbs to blind panic, emotional dysregulation, and chaotic overactivity. They run around in circles, make rash, fear-driven decisions, and burn through their entire reserve of metabolic energy within the first few hours, leaving themselves completely incapacitated when sustained endurance is required. An elite manager of human energy approaches a crisis with the calm, methodical precision of a trauma surgeon or an elite military commander. They understand that in high-stakes, high-chaos environments, emotional volatility is a deadly liability. they instantly execute an internal, tactical pause. They slow down their breathing, lower their vocal cadence, drop their physical posture into an unshakable ground, and deliberately reduce the internal speed of their thoughts. They recognize that speed comes from accuracy, and accuracy comes from calm, deliberate processing. During a crisis, you protect your energy by applying the principle of emergency triaging. You ruthlessly divide all incoming variables into 3 distinct categories. Immediate actionable threats, variables that require your direct physical intervention right now. Secondary deliberations, variables that are important but can be safely deferred until the immediate storm has passed. Uncontrollable noise, external chaos, opinions, panic, and speculation that carry zero actionable utility. You erect an impenetrable shield against uncontrollable noise and secondary deliberations. You focus your physical and cognitive fuel exclusively on executing immediate, high-leverage steps within your direct control. By refusing to allow external chaos to penetrate your internal core, you preserve your stamina, keep your judgment razor-sharp, and navigate the crisis with maximum efficiency and minimum biological wear and tear. Beyond managing acute disruptions, you must master the psychological dynamics of navigating long-term life transitions, such as career shifts, geographic moves, entering new life stages, or processing major losses. Major transitions are inherently disorienting because they require the death of an old identity, routine, and sense of certainty before the new structure has fully crystallized. Most people find this intermediate, uncertain space, the psychological liminal zone, intolerable. They experience intense anxiety, rushing prematurely into poor decisions, or clinging frantically to the decaying remnants of their old life, just to escape the uncomfortable feeling of not knowing what comes next. Navigating the liminal zone without burning out requires you to embrace strategic patience and the discipline of internal stillness. You must allow old structures to dissolve completely without forcing immediate premature replacements. You give your mind permission to rest in the quiet, unformed space between chapters. You recognize that uncertainty is not a threat. It is the fertile, open ground where all new growth, creative inspiration, and sovereign power reside. By maintaining your daily foundational habits, sleep, nutrition, movement, silence, and firm boundaries, you preserve your baseline vitality while allowing the next phase of your life to unfold with organic, unforced clarity. You stop spending energy forcing outcomes, learning to sail smoothly on the shifting currents of life with poise, power, and complete peace of mind. Chapter 14. The 14th vector in mastering your personal energy economy is the intentional cultivation of creative focus, deep work mastery, and the systematic elimination of continuous partial attention. We live in an era characterized by catastrophic cognitive fragmentation. The modern information environment is specifically designed to shatter human attention into microscopic, disconnected fragments. Millions of individuals spend their waking hours bouncing frantically between messaging channels, email notifications, open browser tabs, social media feeds, and interrupted tasks. They live in a permanent state of continuous partial attention, never fully present in any single moment, never deeply engaged in any single task, and perpetually operating on cognitive surface foam. This chronic fragmentation of attention is an absolute catastrophe for your internal energy economy. Deep focus and high-level creative execution do not occur on the superficial surface of the mind. They require your brain to enter a state of sustained, uninterrupted neural coherence, known as deep work or flow state. When you are interrupted or voluntarily switch your focus from one complex task to another, such as pausing an important writing project to glance at an incoming notification or respond to a chat message, your brain does not make a clean, instant transition. Instead, a significant portion of your cognitive fuel and attention remains stuck on the task you just left behind. Neurologists refer to this phenomenon as attention residue. Every micro-interruption leaves a thick layer of cognitive residue behind, clogging your prefrontal cortex and forcing your brain to expend massive amounts of metabolic energy, attempting to reorient itself back to the primary task. If you allow yourself to be interrupted every 10 or 15 minutes throughout the day, Your brain exists in a permanent state of heavy attention residue. You burn through immense reserves of mental fuel while accomplishing almost nothing of real value, ending your workday with profound brain fog, cognitive exhaustion, and a frustrating sense of zero tangible progress. To plug this massive cognitive drain and reclaim your peak creative power, you must treat your attention as a sacred, non-negotiable asset. You must recognize that high-level achievement, profound creative expression, and deep strategic thinking are impossible without the capacity for sustained, uninterrupted focus. Elite performance in any field is not driven by working 16 hours a day in a scattered, chaotic frenzy. It is driven by dedicating 2 to 4 hours of absolute, hyper-focused, uninterrupted cognitive horsepower to high-leverage objectives every single day, while fiercely insulating that time from all external noise. Building an environment for deep, energy-efficient focus requires the construction of strict cognitive containment protocols and the master technique of time blocking. Time blocking is the practice of dividing your day into dedicated, inviolable blocks of time, each assigned to a single, specific objective. Instead of working off a chaotic, unorganized to-do list and constantly asking yourself, "What should I do next?" Your entire day is structured in advance by your sovereign mind. You establish dedicated blocks for deep work, administrative tasks, communication processing, and physical recovery. During a designated deep work block, you execute absolute environmental and digital lockdown. You remove your smartphone from your physical line of sight, place it in another room on silent, disable all desktop notifications, close all non-essential browser tabs, and communicate your unavailability to your network. You create a frictionless, zero-distraction sanctuary where your prefrontal cortex can drop deep into the task at hand without fear of interruption. By locking your attention onto a single objective for 90 to 120 minutes, you bypass the energy-draining trap of attention residue. You enter a flow state where work feels effortless, time seems to stretch, and your creative output multiplies by a factor of 10, all while consuming a fraction of the metabolic energy required by scattered, interrupted labor. Furthermore, you must conquer the internal urge to engage in multitasking, a pervasive, dangerous myth of modern corporate culture. Human beings do not possess the neurological capacity to process 2 high-level cognitive tasks simultaneously. When you believe you are multitasking, such as listening to a strategic presentation while responding to emails, or drafting a report while participating in a phone call, you are not performing 2 tasks at once. You are simply rapidly, inefficiently switching back and forth between 2 tasks at high speed. This rapid context switching imposes a crushing tax on your executive function. It floods your brain with stress hormones, accelerates metabolic depletion, increases error rates by up to 40%, and severely degrades the quality of both outputs. Multitasking is the ultimate illusion of productivity. It makes you feel intensely busy and overwhelmed while producing superficial, low-value work. A sovereign individual rejects the frantic illusion of multitasking entirely, adopting the elite discipline of single-tasking. They do one thing at a time, with 100% of their presence and cognitive fuel, finishing it completely, before directing their focus to the next objective. Beyond protecting your focus during work, you must cultivate the art of intentional cognitive rest and mind-wander recovery. Your brain is a biological organ, not a mechanical machine. It cannot sustain high-level focus indefinitely without structured periods of deep recovery. Many individuals make the mistake of spending their work breaks engaging in high-stimulation digital activities, scrolling through news feeds, watching short-form video content, or engaging in intense text conversations. This is not rest. It is merely swapping one form of high-volume cognitive input for another. It keeps your prefrontal cortex firing, prevents neural consolidation, and guarantees that you return to your work feeling even more fatigued than before. True cognitive rest requires low stimulation, low input environments that allow your default mode network, the neural network responsible for memory consolidation, creative synthesis, and emotional regulation, to activate naturally. You must integrate regular, non-digital rest periods into your daily routine. taking a 15-minute walk in nature without headphones, sitting in complete silence with your eyes closed, engaging in gentle physical stretching, or simply looking out a window while letting your mind wander freely without a phone or screen in sight. These quiet, low-input intervals are not wasted time. They are the exact moments where your brain processes stored information, connects disparate concepts, solves complex problems effortlessly in the background, and recharges its metabolic battery for the next deep focus block. Some of the greatest strategic breakthroughs and creative inspirations in human history did not occur while staring frantically at a screen, but during quiet, uninterrupted moments of non-digital rest. By honoring the natural rhythm of intense focus followed by deep, quiet recovery, you protect your cognitive health, unlock your true genius, and navigate your professional and creative life with effortless mastery, unshakable stamina, and profound personal power. Chapter 15, the 15th vector in mastering your personal energy economy, and the final integration of this entire philosophy, is the cultivation of daily energetic sovereignty, long-term vitality architecture, and the creation of an unshakable, self-sustaining existence. Throughout this work, we have dissected the subtle, invisible leaks that drain your life force: cognitive rumination, digital outrage traps, parasitic relationships, conditioned guilt, career overfunctioning, decision fatigue, unhealed historical debt, performative social masks, biological hyperreactivity, and scattered focus. However, identifying these leaks is only the first step. The ultimate objective is not merely to plug individual holes as they appear, but to construct a permanent, self-reinforcing operational architecture that keeps your internal reservoir filled to capacity every single day. To live as a truly sovereign individual, you must recognize that your physical, mental, and emotional energy is not an accidental side effect of good luck or favorable circumstances. Energy is a direct biological and psychological output generated by the specific systems, habits, and boundaries you design and execute. If your current life feels exhausting, overwhelming, or constantly depleted, it is not because you lack strength or resilience. It is because your current system is perfectly designed to yield the exact level of exhaustion you are currently experiencing. To change the output, you must redesign the system. You must transition from a passive victim of daily demands to the master architect of your personal energy ecosystem. The foundation of this architecture begins with the absolute defense of your daily foundational triad: sleep hygiene, physical movement, and metabolic nutrition. It is a profound psychological delusion to believe that you can master your emotional bandwidth, maintain cognitive clarity, or enforce firm interpersonal boundaries while consistently neglecting the basic biological needs of your physical body. Your mind and your body are not two separate entities. They are a single, unified, interconnected biological system. When you compromise your sleep, fuel your body with toxic processed substances, or remain sedentary for days on end, you place your entire nervous system in a state of baseline physiological distress, rendering you infinitely more vulnerable to anxiety, reactivity, and emotional burnout. Sleep is the ultimate non-negotiable biological reset button. During deep, high-quality sleep, your brain's glymphatic system actively flushes out metabolic waste products that accumulate during waking hours. Your nervous system recalibrates its stress sensitivity, and your emotional regulation centers are restored. Depriving yourself of proper sleep to gain a few extra hours of work or entertainment is an act of severe financial and biological illiteracy. You are borrowing low-quality, foggy hours today at the expense of your high-level health, cognitive horsepower, and emotional stability tomorrow. Protect your sleep as a sacred, non-negotiable appointment with your future self. Equally critical is the intentional integration of regular physical movement and metabolic nourishment. Physical movement is not merely a tool for aesthetic maintenance. It is the primary biological mechanism for discharging stored stress hormones, elevating baseline mood, and stimulating neuroplasticity. A daily practice of intentional movement, whether high-intensity exercise, resistance training, or long, quiet walks in natural environments, functions as a powerful biological filter that clears residual emotional toxicity from your tissues. Combine this with real, dense, anti-inflammatory nourishment that stabilizes your blood sugar, and you establish a rock-solid physical baseline that easily withstands the daily turbulence of the external world. Beyond biological maintenance, you must master the art of the morning and evening energy anchor protocols. The transition periods at the beginning and end of your day dictate the quality and trajectory of your entire existence. If you begin your day in a frantic, reactive rush, snoozing your alarm 5 times, grabbing your smartphone to check work emails or news headlines, and racing out the door in a state of mild panic, you set your baseline tone to hypervigilance and external compliance. You spend the rest of the day playing defense, reacting to everyone else's priorities, while your own focus remains scattered and weak. A sovereign morning protocol, by contrast, is a sacred, non-negotiable window dedicated exclusively to internal grounding, physical alignment, and strategic preparation before you allow the outside world to access your mind. It does not require hours of complex rituals. It requires 30 to 60 minutes of quiet, deliberate intention. You wake up without reaching for a digital device. You hydrate your body, expose your eyes to natural sunlight to anchor your circadian rhythm, engage in quiet reflection, breathwork, or reading, and move your body. You set your internal alignment, review your core priorities for the day, and enter the world from a position of deep composure and sovereign strength. Similarly, your evening protocol serves as the conscious closure of your daily ledger. It is the intentional process of shutting down your operational systems, offloading lingering mental clutter into your external task management system, disconnecting from digital input streams, and lowering your biological engine into deep recovery. By establishing a clear, non-negotiable boundary between your active work window and your evening rest sanctuary, you signal to your subconscious mind that the day's battles are over. You allow your nervous system to drop out of sympathetic mobilization and into parasympathetic repair, ensuring that your sleep is deep, restorative, and uninterrupted by work-related anxiety. Furthermore, you must build an impenetrable defense against the insidious phenomenon known as scope creep in your personal life. Scope creep is a term borrowed from project management that describes how small, seemingly innocent additions to a project slowly accumulate over time until the original timeline, budget, and bandwidth are completely blown out of proportion. In personal life, scope creep occurs when you gradually accept minor requests, take on extra favors, agree to non-essential obligations, and let low-value activities clutter your weekly schedule until you have zero free time or energy left for yourself. To prevent scope creep from destroying your vitality, you must conduct a mandatory monthly energy audit. Once every 4 weeks, sit down in a quiet space with a journal or blank document and conduct a cold, objective audit of your life through 4 decisive questions. What activities, commitments, or relationships currently yield the highest return on energy, peace, and real-world progress? Down on these. What low-value obligations, habits, or interactions are currently consuming my bandwidth without offering any meaningful return? Prune or eliminate these immediately. Where am I currently over-functioning, over-explaining, or failing to enforce a clear boundary? Correct the protocol immediately. What single system, habit, or rule can I implement this month to further streamline my daily life and eliminate decision fatigue? By conducting this audit regularly, you stay ahead of the curve. You identify minor leaks before they turn into massive energy floods, prune the weed-like growth of non-essential commitments, and continuously refine your lifestyle to ensure maximum alignment with your core values and highest purpose. You realize that keeping your life simple, streamlined, and high impact requires continuous, intentional maintenance. Ultimately, the goal of mastering your personal energy economy is to achieve absolute internal alignment and sovereign purpose. Energy is not saved merely for the sake of hoarding it, nor is peace sought merely to live a sheltered, comfortable, and lazy life. Your physical, mental, and emotional life force is the raw, divine currency given to you to build a meaningful, powerful, and authentic existence. When you stop wasting your life force on trivial arguments, performative status games, unhealed past regrets, and the endless demands of manipulative systems, you unlock a staggering reserve of creative potential, focus, and quiet authority. You gain the freedom to direct your life force toward what truly matters, mastering your craft, building deep, loving, high-trust relationships, nurturing your physical and spiritual health, contributing real value to your community, and leaving a lasting legacy of strength, peace, and excellence behind you. You no longer live as a passive leaf tossed about by the unpredictable winds of external circumstances. You stand as a deep, ancient oak tree, firmly rooted in your truth, completely unbothered by temporary storms, and fully in command of your own destiny. Take complete ownership of your time, guard your mind with ruthless clarity, protect your nervous system with fierce boundaries, reclaim your attention from the noise of a chaotic world, and invest every drop of your precious life force into building an unshakable, sovereign life. The leaks are closed, the fortress is built, and the power is, and has always been, entirely in your hands.